Hello again. Welcome to our next bAIgel episode. My guest today is Roman Koch, an experienced in-house counsel, partner of Legal Tech Academy, and co-author of the first guidebook about prompting for lawyers. Roman, it's great you joined me.
Hello, Michał, and thanks a lot for having me.
At the beginning, I would like to ask you, why do you think prompting is crucial? What is so special about prompting?
So, when we talk about prompting and specifically about legal prompt engineering, I think we should first define what prompt engineering is. So, in my view, prompt engineering is a process of designing inputs for generative AI tools that will produce optimal outputs. And the key lies in learning how to ask the right questions to optimize prompts to achieve the best possible outputs. I think that we must understand that generative AI models, they do not have their own intuition. They cannot mimic human intelligence. Generative AI models can only have the ability to apply probability and connect words to provide the output. So, answering your question, why is prompt engineering such a crucial skill for lawyers? Needless to say, generative AI is here to stay. Over the last months, we have seen that major international law firms and big four companies started investing heavily in AI. So I think that this trend seems to be prevalent in the years to come. Secondly, we should remember that ChatGPT, which is obviously one of the most well-known generative AI tools, is just one example of this technology. And personally, I expect that Microsoft, with its Copilot, will be a breakthrough, which, when it comes to a widespread adoption of AI by lawyers. We need to remember that Microsoft 365 is the most commonly used tech tool among lawyers. So adding AI functionalities to this tech stack, especially to Microsoft Word, will convince law firms and legal departments that generative AI can bring time savings and increase efficiency. So that is why, in my opinion, the ability to communicate, so to say, with AI tools will be crucial for technology literacy among lawyers in the future.
Okay, and how should a good prompt look like? Many lawyers, I think, believe that AI has its own intelligence and they can ask very generally with one sentence and get the good output. And after a few trials, they are stressed they didn't succeed. What's your opinion? What would you advise?
Yes, obviously it doesn't work like that you said. It's just one short sentence is enough. And of course, we should not treat most generative AI tools, especially ChatGPT, as search engine. So I can share some examples based on my trials with ChatGPT. I would start with the most basic and important one, in my opinion. To write a good prompt, you need to be specific, you need to be descriptive and as detailed as possible about the desired context, about this desired outcome, about the length, the format, and the style of the response. So, for instance, if you want to use ChatGPT to create an executive summary on a, let's say, latest change in law, and you want ChatGPT to summarize an article, you should include in the prompt an instruction about the purpose of the summary, to whom it will be sent, how long it should be. So, for instance, in 5 bullet points, about the style, for instance, formal but without legalese. The second one, which comes to my mind, is that you should articulate the desired output format through examples. I found it particularly useful for writing posts for social media. The next one, reduce all the fluffy and imprecise descriptions. So again, it's very important to be precise when writing a prompt. The next one, which also was very, very useful from my experience, was to assign a role to ChatGPT and, for instance, ask to act as a lawyer, as a blogger, marketing advisor, etc., depending on the desired outcome. You can also describe constraints, so you can specify what should not be included in the response from the chatbot. Sometimes, from my experience, if the response from the chatbot is not exactly as desired, you can try it with two options. You can try regenerate response option. However, most likely in most cases the response will be quite similar. You can also, in the second attempt when prompting, ask ChatGPT to correct the answer in its previous response and describe what should be corrected. For instance, you can try transform your last response into a table. You can try regenerate your last response but remove XYZ. Correcting such mistakes works pretty well, for instance, with wrong format of the text. It does not solve the hallucination problem. Also, from my experience, sometimes when ChatGPT is asked to write longer texts, such as letters, contracts, etc., it may left the text unfinished. So this is most likely caused by the limitation of characters in chat's response, but in such case, you can ask ChatGPT to continue writing the text from its last response. And of course, last but not least, you need to always remember to review the output provided by any generative AI tool. For instance, ChatGPT has quite strong capabilities for tasks which involve analyzing, summarizing, converting text, but it has a tendency, as we all know, to hallucinate when we do not provide sufficient background in the prompt or the prompt was too generic. And obviously, we need to remember about privacy and confidentiality issues. So depending on what kind of tool we use, we need to take into account data privacy implications. In case of ChatGPT, I would suggest, of course, not to provide in the input any personal data or data which is confidential information. So this is in a nutshell what I would recommend when trying to use, in this case, ChatGPT, but generally all generative AI tools.
Thank you for this summary. If our guests want to get more, they can read your book and go deeper and get informed what is really a good prompt or what it should look like. I would like to ask you one more question. In my previous podcast, I had as a guest Michał Araszkiewicz, with whom we prepared global report on impact of AI on legal firms, on law firms. And we asked law firms if they adopted already AI tools. 51% answered they did, and 43% out of these companies responded that they have innovation department, and 13% already employ prompt engineer. What do you think about it? Is it a profession of future for lawyers?
Yes, I could also add to that I have also seen quite a few job offers for legal prompt engineers. The one that I recall was in Mishkon, the Rea law firm. So it seems that this will be a growing niche, but I think that this will still be a niche. I think that well-engineered prompts can significantly leverage AI effectiveness. Maybe hiring a prompt engineer is not a must-have, at least at this moment. I think that lawyers have many of the soft skills which are actually required to write good prompts, especially have the language proficiency, we have language precision, we are pretty good in analyzing text. So I think that successful application of these skills and also the principles of prompt engineering can bring quite a sufficient and good quality of the output by generative AI tools for lawyers. I think that in the future, the so-called prompting skills will be something important to make the best use of many different tech tools, because there is a really growing tendency to embed AI into contract lifecycle management, into drafting tools, and also to Microsoft 365 with its Copilot. So I think a separate position of a legal prompt engineer may be a niche in, I think, large law firms. As I mentioned, we have also seen that there are already such offers, but I think that prompt engineering skills may be also very valuable for legal operation professionals. This is a second growing quite fast profession within legal industry. So if you want to go to legal ops, I would strongly recommend to start learning prompt engineering.
Okay, so maybe not profession of future for lawyers, but really significant, crucial skill that each lawyer should train. Is that correct?
Of course, this is a skill that will be valuable. As I mentioned, I think that it will be a niche for some lawyers who don't feel like going into traditional path. I don't think that it will be a large group of lawyers that will transform into prompt engineers. But of course, for some niche group of lawyers, it is something to consider. It will be a growing trend.
Okay, Roman, great summary in a nutshell. But if you want to go deeper, buy Roman's book, Train Prompting. Check my next bAIgel episode. And Roman, thank you for being here. It was a great discussion.
Thanks a lot for having me.